Welcome back to Books Too Rich's Deep Dives. We're diving into a topic that's super exciting and, let's be real, also a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
It's about getting ready financially for parenthood. But luckily, we've got our Essential Money Strategies for New Parents in 2025 guide to help us break it all down.
That's right. This guide isn't here to scare you with all the costs,
Right.
It's really about giving you a roadmap to reach financial security for your family and for your own goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to choose between buying diapers or reaching your dreams.
Absolutely not. One of the biggest myths that this guide busts is that you need to be like a financial expert to make it all work.
Oh, good.
It all starts with something we can all do, creating a baby budget before the baby arrives.
Okay, so this is where it gets real. It's easy to get caught up browsing all the adorable baby clothes online.
Right.
But then you realize, wait a minute, how many diapers does a tiny human actually go through?
That's a perfect example. The guide talks about tracking your spending now to see where you can make adjustments. It's not about cutting back on everything,
Right.
but being aware of where your money's going so you can free up some funds for those new baby expenses.
So step one, know yourself financially.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Then the guide goes into researching actual costs. I was actually shocked to see that the average monthly cost of daycare is over $1,200.
Yeah, it's definitely a significant expense. And this guide doesn't try to hide that reality. Instead, it encourages you to look at all your options early on, like maybe a nanny share or
Yeah.
getting help from family or even adjusting your work schedule to reduce those daycare hours.
Oh, that's a great point. So it's not about just accepting the cost, but actually finding solutions that fit your family.
Right.
Now, beyond those day-to-day costs, the guide really stresses how important it is to have an emergency fund.
Yes, this is important for everyone, but especially when you have a new baby. Just imagine an unexpected medical bill, or maybe you suddenly lose your job. That's stressful enough without having to worry about how to pay for it.
Right, because life doesn't always go according to plan, especially with a newborn.
Definitely.
So how much should we aim to have in that emergency fund?
The guide recommends having about 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an account that you can access quickly.
Okay.
It's all about creating a safety net so you can just focus on your new baby and not panic about money.
That's like buying peace of mind.
Exactly. And speaking of security, we should talk about insurance.
Okay.
This guide goes deep into the must-haves for new parents. And it's not just health insurance, although obviously that's priority number one.
Right, we've got to make sure the little one is covered from the very beginning.
Yes.
But what other types of insurance does the guide recommend?
Well, life insurance is super important to protect your child financially, if something unexpected happens. Term life insurance, which covers you for a specific period, is usually the most affordable option for new parents. And it's actually surprisingly affordable.
That's good to know. This is where the guide got really interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
It talks about disability insurance and umbrella insurance.
Yes. Those are often overlooked, but they can make a huge difference.
Okay.
Over 25% of adults experience some kind of disability before they retire. So having income protection is really important.
Wow, that's a really eye-opening statistic. It's not something anyone wants to think about,
I know.
but being prepared is key.
Yeah.
What about umbrella insurance?
Well, think of it like an extra layer of protection for your assets in case of lawsuits or major claims. With a growing family, those what-if scenarios, they become even more important to think about.
This is making me realize that financial planning isn't just about numbers. It's really about protecting your family's future.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word. And speaking of the future, the guide then talks about a topic that might feel really far off. When you're holding a newborn, college savings.
Yeah. It might seem early, but this is where the magic of compound interest really comes in.
Okay.
The guide shows how even small amounts of money saved regularly from when the baby's born can grow a lot over time.
Okay, now that's motivating. So it's not about needing to find huge sums of money right now.
Right.
It's more about starting early and letting time do its work. I think the guide actually gives an example
It does.
that $50 a month from birth becomes thousands of dollars by college age.
Exactly. It also breaks down those popular options like 529 plans and custodial Roth IRAs.
Okay.
529 plans are great because you get tax-free growth and you might even get state tax deductions, which makes them really attractive for education savings.
So it's not just about saving, it's also about knowing how to save in a smart way.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to throw this out there. Maybe instead of showering newborns with clothes that they're just going to outgrow so quickly, loved ones can contribute to these college funds.
I love that idea. That's such a meaningful way to give a gift. It's a real contribution to the child's future.
Yes.
Speaking of contributing, this guide also highlights some resources that are often overlooked: government and employer benefits.
Ah, yes. Those benefits can feel like such a maze to figure out.
They can.
But they could potentially offer some serious financial relief.
Right.
What does the guide recommend?
It really emphasizes understanding what you're entitled to. There might be things like tax-free childcare accounts, paid parental leave, even child tax credits. It's really worth doing your research and making sure you're maximizing everything that's available to you.
Right. Don't leave money on the table just because the paperwork seems a little daunting.
I agree.
And speaking of things that might not be top of mind when you're knee-deep in diapers, the guide then dives into the importance of legal documents.
Right. It's not the most fun topic to talk about, but it's so important.
Yeah.
To make sure your child is cared for and your assets are managed the way you want if something were to happen to you.
Yeah. It's about peace of mind, right? Knowing that you've taken care of everything, even the scenarios we don't really want to think about.
Exactly. And this is where the guide is so helpful. It gives you a clear checklist.
Oh, good.
You should start with a will to designate guardians for your child and to outline what you want to happen with your assets.
So a will is non-negotiable. What about trusts?
Trusts are a way to have more control over how your assets are used, especially when it comes to inheritance. And don't forget to update the beneficiaries on all of your accounts, like your life insurance, your retirement accounts, investments. Make sure they reflect your current wishes.
It's amazing how much we've covered already. This Essential Money Strategies for New Parents in 2025 guide is full of really actionable advice. It's making me feel so much more prepared for this next chapter.
That's great.
And if you're looking for even more financial wisdom, be sure to subscribe to Books to Riches. We have so many resources to help you achieve your financial goals, no matter what stage of life you're in.
We do.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Essential Money Strategies for New Parents in 2025 guide. Before we left off, we were talking about protecting your family with insurance and all those legal documents. But now I kind of want to shift gears to a topic that I think can feel a little tricky. It's like finding that balance between saving for your own retirement and providing for your child's future.
It's a tough one, right? And the guide acknowledges that. It gets that emotional pull of wanting to put your child's needs first.
Right.
But it makes a really good point about how if you don't take care of your own retirement, it can actually backfire.
Okay, I'm curious. It seems a little counterintuitive.
It does.
But I want to hear why focusing on my own retirement actually helps my child in the long run.
Okay, well, think of it this way. If you use up all your savings to support your child, you might end up needing their financial help later on. And that could put a strain on your relationship and also on their own finances.
That's a perspective I hadn't really thought about before. It's so easy to just focus on those immediate needs when you're raising a child. But this guide reminds us that we need to think about the long term.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance.
Okay.
So try to save at least 10 to 15% of your income for retirement. Make the most of those employer-sponsored plans.
Okay.
Especially if they have a matching contribution. That's like free money you don't want to miss out on.
It's like a bonus for being responsible, right?
Exactly. And don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Think about diversifying, so maybe a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA in addition to your 401k.
Okay.
This guide actually does a nice job of explaining the differences between those so you can pick the one that works best for you.
This makes me realize that there are so many different investment strategies out there.
There are.
I used to think retirement planning was just putting money into a savings account. But this guide is really opening my eyes to being a little more strategic.
Yeah, it's about taking control of your financial future and making your money work harder for you.
Right.
And speaking of smart moves, the last strategy in this guide is all about teaching your kids about money from a young age.
I love this because it's never too early to start, right?
Never.
What are some practical ways that parents can introduce these ideas to their kids?
Well, the guide says to start simple. Something classic like a piggy bank is a great way to teach kids about saving. You can encourage them to set goals, maybe save up for a toy they really want or a special outing, and they get to see their savings grow. Even small amounts can make a big difference.
I remember having a piggy bank as a kid. It was so satisfying to fill it up.
Yeah.
So it's about making saving feel tangible and fun.
Absolutely. And as they get older, you can introduce the idea of earning money through chores.
Okay.
That helps them understand the connection between work and getting paid.
Right, so it's not just about giving them money, it's about helping them understand where it comes from.
Exactly. And then as they get even more comfortable with money, you can start talking about investing and how their savings can grow over time.
Okay.
The guide even suggests that you can involve them in age-appropriate investment decisions,
Oh, wow.
like picking a stock, for example, or a mutual fund.
Okay.
So they really feel like they're a part of it. It's about giving them the power to shape their own financial future.
I love that. It's not just about teaching them the basics, it's about beating their confidence. Setting them up for success.
Yes.
It's amazing how early kids are starting to think about this stuff. Remember that study we talked about?
Yes.
About how kids as young as 6 are already thinking about saving for retirement.
I know, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it shows that there's like a real shift in financial awareness happening with these younger generations.
Yeah.
By starting these conversations early, we're giving them the knowledge and tools to make good decisions throughout their lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of valuable resources, if you're looking for even more insights like these, we encourage you to subscribe to Books to Riches.
We've got tons of expert articles, actionable tips, and a great community to support you on your financial journey.
This Essential Money Strategies for New Parents in 2025 guide has given me so many aha moments.
I'm glad to hear it.
And I can't wait to see what else Books to Riches has to offer. We'll be right back with our final thoughts on preparing for parenthood, financially and beyond. Welcome back to Books to Riches Deep Dives. As we're wrapping up our deep dive into the essential money strategies for new parents in 2025, it's amazing how much we've covered. It's like a crash course in finances for soon-to-be parents.
It is, right. It's a lot to think about, but this guide really does a great job of breaking it down into those smaller, manageable steps.
It does.
Like we talked about budgeting, emergency funds, insurance, college savings, even those, government benefits that people sometimes forget about.
And of course, we can't forget about saving for our own retirement, too.
Right.
This guide really highlighted how important that is. It's not just about the kids. Taking care of our own financial well-being actually helps them in the long run.
Exactly. It's about moving away from that scarcity mindset and realizing that we can actually achieve financial security for ourselves and build a good foundation for our children, too.
It's like creating a legacy of financial empowerment.
I like that.
One of the things I really appreciated about this guide was the focus on teaching our kids about money early on.
Oh, absolutely. That's such a valuable thing to do. You start with those simple things like piggy banks and chores, and then gradually introduce more complex topics like investing,
Right.
even compound interest. This guide even talked about getting kids involved in some basic investment decisions.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Like age-appropriate decisions, of course.
Of course.
But it gives them that sense of ownership. Like they're really a part of the process.
Right. It's not just about lecturing them about finances. It's about giving them the tools and that confidence to manage their own money.
Exactly. And remember that study we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
About kids as young as 6 already thinking about saving for retirement?
I know. It's crazy.
It shows that the younger generations are really starting to think about money differently. And by having these conversations early on, we're giving them a head start. They'll be ready to handle whatever financial challenges come their way.
This guide has been such a great resource. I feel so much more prepared and even excited to start this next chapter.
That's wonderful. It's really about, shifting from fear to feeling empowered. Financial planning doesn't have to be scary. It's about creating a life of security, opportunity, and freedom for you and your loved ones.
So as we're wrapping up this episode of Books to Riches Deep Dives, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I hope they realize that they can do this. They can build that secure future for their family. It doesn't require being, some kind of financial wizard.
Yeah.
It's about taking those first steps, using the resources that are out there, and just making those smart decisions that fit with their values and goals.
This guide definitely laid out those steps in a really clear and actionable way.
It did.
And for anyone who wants even more financial guidance and support, we really encourage you to subscribe to Books to Riches.
We'd love to have you. We're passionate about helping people achieve their financial dreams, individuals, families, everyone.
Yes.
And when you subscribe, you get access to all these amazing articles, tips, and you join this supportive community of people who are all on this journey together.
So whether you're a brand new parent, trying to figure out this whole money thing for the first time, or just want to learn more about managing your finances, Books to Riches has something for you. It's been great diving into this guide with you all today.
It really has. And remember, this is just the start of your financial journey. We're here to support you every step of the way.
Thank you for listening to Books to Riches Deep Dives. We'll see you in the next episode.